In this particular session on the designing the organizations for the competitive success, we will talk about the how to design your organization to stand out from the competition and the building the differentiation into the DNA of your organization. Seven of this is the how you stand out amongst the your competitors. For organizational design issues that most leaders misdiagnose, passing the essential test, case studies, research papers and book recommendations as usual with the references. So, organization design for the competitive success is becoming the, if you do not have a competitive advantage, do not compete, and therefore, in that case it becomes a very clear guideline, that is the organization should take a lead only when they are having the enough strength to be successful in that particular area. So, how to design your organization to stand out from the competition is there. In today's highly competitive business environment, the differentiation is often critical to success. So, for many leaders, it tops the list of concerns. Nearly 40% of CEOs surveyed to the University of the Southern California Center for the Public Relations 2019 Global Communication Report said that differentiating their brand from the competition is their most important communication goal. In his June 2012 Harvard Business Review article, leadership and organizational change expert Michael D. Watkins hints at a solution. So, he writes that is, as leaders move up to the enterprise level, they become responsible for the designing and altering the architecture of their organization. This concept challenges effectiveness to go beyond just pushing their research and development team to develop the new products are there. Instead, leaders may need to build into the DNA of their organization the things that will allow is to sustainably beat the competition over and over again, even in the face of the tough competition is there. So, this building differentiation into the DNA is one of the reasons that the building differentiation is the very structure of an organization in such a powerful approach that it is a very difficult thing for the complementary to the replicates is there. So, therefore, a powerful approach is that it is very necessary. So, how does one build differentiation into an organization's DNA? In our work with organizations, we have found that the following 3 steps process to be individuals according to the author. So, align your strategy with all sides of the organization. Rubik's Cube is there. So, visualizing your organization as a Rubik's Cube is a helpful model that makes it easier to understand the implication of strategy across the organization as a whole. Each side of the cube highlights a different organizational element such as work processes, structure, metrics, people, improvement and culture. Like turning a Rubik's cube, changing any one element of the organization invariably affects all other aspects of the organization. Once you have a differentiated position, commit to it. What is that? It is really going to cause your organization to stand out in a distinct way. It is not always necessary to come up with something earth shattering that no one else has a thought about. Very often an organization's level of commitment to a distinct strategy or position and its ability to execute it are what ultimately set it apart. But all unique strategies have an element of risk. There is a risk that you might not be anticipating your customer's need perfectly, or that you cannot really design and execute an organization capable of delivering the extraordinary value. As a leader, do the proper research, make the tough trade-offs and then stand firm when the necessary question the unconventional direction you are taking your organization in. Stick to your strategy regardless of distractions. Having a clear strategy and commitment to weaving it into your organization's DNA is a good start. But in the long run, the success of that differentiated strategy often boils down to how effectively you can keep your organizations aligned with in the face of the new things that come up. When someone approaches you with a great new technology to consider, it can either be a distraction or it can be an opportunity. Sometimes an acquisition opportunity creates more of a distraction than a path to synergetic growth. Designing your organization for success. Leaders who understand how to build differentiation into the DNA of their organization are ahead of the game when it comes to positioning their organization for success. Using the Rubik's Cube model of organization alignment is a great way to start this process. To get more participants, it is important to stand out rather than to fit in. If you want to fill your training with the participants, you have to differentiate yourself from your competition. So, this is how you stand out amongst your competitors. So, you need to make it clear to potential participants that you are the only choice for them. How do you go from the being one of the many fish in the sea to being the fish is that everyone wants? This can be a difficult but not an impossible task. So, these 7 tips on how to stand out amongst your competitors and thus get more participants. Make sure meet your target markets challenges with the solutions are there. A good way to get more participants into is to address and solve their challenges. By mapping out the challenges your audience faces and truly satisfying and solving these challenges, you will be able to stand out in the crowd of the providers. Find and use your USP. USP stands for the unique selling point and essentially involves highlighting the unique factors you offer to be differentiated yourself from the competitors. Why should everyone choose to attend your particular training instead of someone else offering the same or similar training? What strengths do you have to play on that your competitors do not have? The more difficult your USP is to imitate, the greater your competitive advantage is. Ask your previous customers why did they choose you in particular. What way they post is with the your customers are the most satisfied with the after completing the training. This can give a good idea of what is unique about your training. So, therefore, in that case it becomes very important, that is the first you understand your needs of your customers. When you understand the need of your customers, then in that case you will be more customized in designing your training program. So, therefore, in that case it becomes very important, that is the first you know, that is the why people are choosing you. So, there might be the many reasons, and from there you can find out, oh, this is my USP, and because of that the people are choosing me. Stand out visually. Us humans can constantly capture visual impressions both consciously and subconsciously. The visual aspect often makes for deeper and are the longer lasting impressions than words themselves. By distinguishing yourself from your competitors visually, for example, through a creative logo or an intriguing design on your own website. So, you will stand out in the crowd and make sure your potential participants remember you as they move towards the end of the assessment process and is ready to choose you as a provider. Highlight the good customers reviews. So, your customer reviews are unique and no business can steal this from you. Make sure to collect customer reviews from your participants so that you can highlight the very best ones on your own website and other places you advertise your courses. So, nothing is more credible than reviews from the previous participants are there. Provide the best customer service is there. So, good service is not only important for customer satisfaction, customer retention and additional sales, but also for attracting the new customers. Do not underestimate the effect of the word of mouth. So, satisfied customers often become good ambassadors and recommend your training to others. Unfortunately, good customer service is in short supply. So, fortunately for you, this opens up the opportunity to provide such good customer service that you can stand out amongst your competitors. Be innovative, and innovation is all about creative something new. Being innovative can be the both unpredictable and risky, yet also one of the smartest ways to differentiate yourself. If you manage to offer something brand new, something that no other providers offer, you can really hit the nail on the head or miss completely if you are unlucky. So, therefore, in that case you will find that is the if you are able to manage your innovativeness, then definitely in that case you will be more preferred. Be visible. Distinguishing yourself from your competitors does not mean trying to avoid being compared to them. To be able to stand out in the crowd, you must also be present. It does not help to stand out from your competitors if your potential participants do not find you when they are looking for training. Be sure not only to be present on your own profiles and channels, website, Facebook, LinkedIn and the like, but also on the common platforms for training providers and the seekers are there. Organizational design issues that most leaders misdiagnose. If you find yourself struggling with one or more of these issues, consider if the design challenges discussed below may be the deeper cause. Doing so many help you pinpoint and resolve the real problem. So, symptoms, competing priorities, the common design challenge and the poor governance is there. So, Henry's company was designed as a matrix organization, meaning that most people had the two bosses. In the case, they were organized around the functions such as the marketing, sales and the engineering. They were also organized around the three customer segments, enterprise platform users, small business and the individual software users. Each team was led by a functional head as well as a division vice president who was in the charge of their assigned customer segment is there. So, organizational designs issues for these the symptoms and the unwanted turnover, common designer challenge, bad role design is there. Leaders often label unwanted directions as a retention problem, dispatching the HR to incent the people to stay. Stock options and bonuses are given or the new titles are fabricated to give the appearance of promotions. This may work temporarily if the defections are driven by the overworked departments or the toxic managers, but they are the widespread chances are the culprits is the organizational. Once organization, I worked with the struggle with the increased turnover following the several years of the botched reorgs. Then the executives dismissed it as a people's frustration with the too many failed changes at once, but that was not the problem. The real issue was that in an attempt to reduce cost, the leadership had used some of the reorganized to consolidate specific jobs such as finance, accounting and purchasing and into overly broad roles with a vast range of the responsibilities, and that will be there where the symptoms are unwanted turnover and common design is there. Now, the third one is that is about the symptom inaccessible bosses. So, therefore, common design challenge is excessive spans of control. Too often employee surveys return now low scores for metrics like my manager is available when I need them. People assume it is because of a time management issue or because leaders do not make an effort to meet with their direct reports. When this happens, managers are given canned tools that tell them how to hold more effective one-to-one meetings or better prioritize their task. The training on empathy may get added to the leadership curriculum is there. So, therefore, in that case it becomes very important that is inaccessible bosses they should make the changes so that then they should be available and they should plan to empathy from there the followers, and therefore, excessive span of control is there. Common design challenges the misaligned incentives of the matrix. When people struggle to work across silos, labels like uncooperative, bureaucratic or political often get tossed around to explain why departments like sales and marketing do not get along or why operators and R&D are at odds. So, team building sessions to strengthen trust are deployed, our workers are shuffled into the liaison roles to bolster the cohesion. But frequently beneath divisional conflict lies the misaligned matrix and are the no incentives that actually encourage the rivalry is there. So, to understand how to formulate the corporate strategy, it is necessary to specify the conditions under which diversification will truly create shareholder values. These conditions can be summarized in three essential tests are there. So, the attractiveness test, the cost of entries test and the better off test is there. The attractiveness test. The industries chosen for the diversification must be structurally attractive or capable of being made attractive is there. So, therefore, they should be always make an attempt they are attractive and the attractiveness will be there. The cost of the entries test. The cost of entry test must not capitalize all the future profits are there, and therefore, in that case this entries test will be the cost that will be capitalized. The better off test is there. For either the new unit must gain competitive advantage from its link with the cooperation or the vice versa is there. So, therefore, in that case whenever the organizations they are going through this particular requirement they are getting the competitive advantage. Now, this is the very popular case studies of the Dabbawalas, the extreme competitive advantage is there. So, every day around 5,000 individual called Dabbawalas deliver around 1,30,000 dabbas lunch boxes filled with the home cooked food to offices throughout the city of Mumbai. This particular case study has been taken with the this has a number of awards, and this has become the very important case study in the area of the supply chain management, also organization structures and division and delegations also. You can see that is how from the one place to the another place, and that is also in metro cities like Mumbai without any mistake. This is they have also got the award for the Six Sigma and all, and here we will be able to understand how they have designed their organization keeping their USP in mind and continuously working from the since so many years. Originally, a Dabbawala would be in charge of a particular area. He would hire a team of 15 to 20 delivery boys at a fixed monthly salary. However, 1983 onwards, Dabbawalas moved to an owner-partner system based on a profit-sharing model. Loosely coupled groups of around 25 members each, consisting of the 2-3 people who worked as a backups, managed their own finances, customers and operational activities. Dabbawalas had no formal retirement age, and the members ranged from 18 to 65 years of age. Senior members who had accumulated 10 to 15 years of work experience were regarded as supervisors called the Mukadams. So, these supervisors would not only carry dabbas, but were also responsible for resolving disputes, helping troubleshoot and overseeing the coding, storing, loading, unloading, collections and the payments are there. So, only those who had no education and hence not many other job options become Dabbawalas. While this resulted in a lack of vision, it led to the higher commitment. Unlike educated employees who would ask too many questions, these uneducated Dabbawalas would finish the task more quickly and were more eager to learn. Because of the high job satisfaction, most Dabbawalas remained in their groups for the remaining period of their working life and were able to build long-term relationship with the customers. Individual Dabbawalas were responsible for negotiating prices with their customers. However, they did so within the pricing guidelines that were set by the management was there. These guidelines include the average weight of a Dabbawala, the distance between residence and office, and the office and the closest railway station. Members were paid only by the collection of dabbas. Dabbawalas who failed to perform were initially given a warning along with 1 or 2 chances, after which they would be thrown out of the team. A dabba on a round trip journey would exchange hands 4 times, twice at the origin railway station and twice at the destination railway station. The delivery process would start off with each dabbawala reporting at their designated station in the morning. Then they would cycle to approximately 30 households on their fixed route to pick up the dabbas from them and deliver them to the railway station of origin, where they would be sorted based on the destination they needed to be delivered to. Subsequently, they would be transported to the railway station of destination via the local train systems. Here they would be sorted again before they would be dropped off to their respective offices by the lunch time. Soon thereafter, the process would run in reverse for the purpose of returning the empty dabbas to their organization stations. A dabba would complete its round trip on an average in 6 hours. The dabbawalas would have no written record of their customers' home addresses. They attributed their speed and accuracy to time management tactics, a code of ethics, a sense of discipline, and most importantly, a simple yet comprehensive system of coding based on the colors, symbols and characters that were universally identifiable. With such basic visual cues that they contributed to the extremely low error rate, 1 in 6 million deviations, that is in deliveries. It allowed for a hub and spoke distribution system in which railway stations served as the central sorting and distribution points, and each station had different delivery routes. The code on the lead of each dabba has 3 main symbols. First is consists of a large and the bold number written on the center of the lead, representing the neighborhood in which the dabbas had to be delivered. Each destination stations served as several neighborhoods. For example, Ballard Estates code was the one, while the Crawford Market code was 2, and the both were served from the CST railway station. The dabbawalas knew the neighborhoods and the codes that will be under the purview of the each destination under. Second, the age of the lead consisted of a group of codes. It would involve a numerical code, means for the dabbawalas who would make the delivery followed by a 2 or 3 letter alphabetical code for the building name and a number indicating the floor within the building where the dabbas needed to be delivered. Lastly, the edge of the lid consists of a symbol that contains a combination of colors, motifs or shapes which indicated the station of origin. For all dabbawalas, the ability to provide steady, speedy and accurate delivery, those who address overall dabbawala systems concern were aware of how the changing these contextual factors influence and would continue to affect their work. At the local level, someone providing a dabba right not to have a lunch box for ready for any number of reasons, thus given the split second precision of the system. A single delayed lunch box could result in a cascading effect that would impact thousands of dabba deliveries. In spite of having 2 to 3 extra workers as buffers and cross training all members in all activities collecting, sorting, transporting, finance, customer relations pursue built on the dabbawalas. The flat organizational structure of the dabbawalas enabled them to make quick decisions in case of the unexpected situations like the extreme monsoons of the 2005. Anil Joshi, the advisor of the dabbawalas, wished to upgrade the organization's website. He wanted the website to have a payment gateway so that the customers could book their order online. He also wanted to start a cell phone texting service for other inquiries, although the website had been successful in garnering media and corporate attention and academic interest that lead to the speaking assignments and attracting small donations, it would not increase the delivery services customer base substantially. This was because the inquiries received were passed on informally by word of mouth and there was no system in place to monitor whether an inquiry reached the appropriate dabbawalas or not and whether the conversation to sales has been materialized. So, Joshi felt that the technology session among these most dabbawalas compounded their challenges. He believed that a more cutting edge approach to technology could help overcome the current limitations, but the organizations remained skeptical. Now, from this particular case study we understand that is the how you can make this part of the designing your organization and without making the mistake, and that is also running from the so many years. So, this will give also structure and understanding, that is what should be the organization structure and how it is to be designed. The aligning the critical success factors to the organization design, a study of the Swedish textile and the clothing firm is there, and therefore, it will talk about that is how you can design your organization. In the dabbawala case study, we have seen the unstructured organization, it is an informal organization, but because with the support of the society and their structuring of the organization, it has become so successful. Now, in this paper, the purpose of the paper was the concurrent designing of products, process and supply chains. Three-dimensional concurrent engineering has approved to the beneficial in rendering the holistic market responsive architecture to organizations through linkages created by the dynamically capability development and innovation. The purpose of this paper is to investigate the promises of the 3DCE in synthesizing and sustaining the critical success factors. And the CFS for the organizations and to also to underpin the existing gap between its offering in devising the customer satisfaction factors and the real solutions, essentials in a dynamic systems perspectives. The paper adopts an intermediary approach combining both explanatory and exploratory research. The conceptual framework of the paper is based on a matrix for the organizational mapping of the textile, clothing and fashions. Firms prepared through content analysis. This is followed by an extensive semi-structured survey. The selection of the firms was based on the contracting the TECO and Euro pages. Usable responses were obtained from 42 firms for detailed analysis, making the responses rate around 15%. Findings: the results were manifold. It showed that most of the key success factors are synthesized and sustained through DCE designing. The paper also highlights the necessity of incorporating intangible values proposition of the culture, leadership and governance, knowledge, image and relationships into the 3DCE model to generate an extended 3DC framework for mediating operational performance and hence organizational success. Such a model required in a dynamic environment is argued to show a fit to the represent a design for resilience perspective requiring further research limitations and implications are there. So, here we find that is the this particular paper which has been talking about the content analysis has been become a very successful because synthesizing sustaining through the 3D CE designing, and the paper where it has become very important that we have to consider the tangible assets also and we have to consider the intangible assets also. So, therefore, when we are talking about the considering the organizational success, such a model required by dynamic environment is argued to show. These are the practical implications of this particular study. The findings from the paper can be beneficial for organization to understand the key areas in which to invest and how to invest their resources and time. As a CA customer satisfaction factor, identification is largely qualitative and can result in differing opinion in pinpointing them. It is thus recommended to synthesize or identify them from the 3D CE perspective. Originality and the value. The paper is original in realizing how a 3D CE can be instrumental in devising DCFs in organization and also what factors need to be incorporated into the extended framework to match the requirements for the organizations in a dynamic environment is there. So, therefore, this paper has become very useful for those who want to make the changes and largely qualitative and can result in the defining opinions in the recommendation of their synthesizing. So, therefore, here this QDA can be done and then we can find out that is the how this extended framework to measure requirements for the organizations is in a dynamic environment can be measured. This is the another research paper understanding the generational differences for the competitive success is there. The largest diversity of generations is represented in today's workplace than any other than in history. With this diversity comes new challenges, and the purpose of this article to analyze the specific challenge and also the opportunities inherent in managing and working in a multi-generational workforce. By choosing on research about the character traits of workers in such generation and identifying the types of conflict that can result, management can better understand these characteristics and work styles and can leverage them to enhance both team and organizational success. This paper is also based on the similar studies, and this research was reviewed and all revealed the method of recognize motivates for each generation by understanding and appreciating each age group's work style and personality traits. So, finding these primary generation exist in the business world, and there is the baby boomers, generation X and generation Y known as the millennials. Each possess unique characteristics that affect the work ethic and relationships, how change is managed and perception of organizational hierarchy. Defining the events in each organization's lives all occurred between the ages of 5 to 18. The development years, the different backgrounds and the life experiences result in the 5 areas of potential workplace stripes surrounding their different expectations, distinct work ethics, deep-seated attitude, opposing perspectives and the diverse motivation is there. More research on generation X and millennials and their roles in the workplace in developing countries is needed. Another area that needs the future research is how increasingly globalization impacts generation cohorts in the different countries. That can divide generations and explore the benefits and necessity of creating and leveraging a multi-generational workforce. So, principal implications: multi-generational workforce affects 2 areas of human resources policy and employee development efforts. The retention and the motivation employees of diverse age groups react differently to program designed to address these 2 areas and also have the differing expectations. The companies will need to rethink their existing practices. This is the book by the Jerry R. Gilbert on the designing the organization's strategy, structure and process of the business units and the enterprise levels is there. So, this book you can refer for your further studies. The third edition of this groundbook, Bull Designing Organizations, offers a guide to the process of creating and managing an organization. No matter how complex, that will be positioned to respond effectively and rapidly to customer demands and have the ability to achieve unique competitive advantage. This latest edition includes the fresh illustrative examples and references, while the foundation of the book remains the author's popular and widely used the STAR model. It includes a comprehensive explanation of the basics of organization design. To design that is based on the STAR model, a holistic framework for combining the strategy, structure, process, rewards and people. describes the different types of single business, functional organizations and the focus on the functional structure and the cross functional lateral processes that characterize most single business organizations. Features a special section on the effects of the big data on organization design and whether or not it will result in a few dimensions of organization structure. Highlighting the social technologies used to coordinate workflows, products and services across the company, and therefore this book will be helping you to well known with the examples with the Disney, Nike, IBM and Rovio to show how various kinds of organization designs operate differently. These are the references. Kindly refer these references for the further studies which will be helping you to go into the details. Thank you.